Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon. It's Shirley with Spirit of Matter. Yes, another video. And what prompted me pressing record without even checking the chart? So, I was reading Carpiel's post about eclipses. So many people have been asking him for eclipse videos. He's doing Vedic astrology with sidereal sidereal astrology. So very different to what I do. I do mostly tropical, with mostly including outer planets, and with mostly whole sign houses. But for the eclipses, he said that to understand eclipses you need the blessing of a Chinamastra and Dhumavati. Chinamastra is the triple face goddess, okay? Where I have been seeing that being used by secret societies associated with alcohol, with beta per se. I'm not saying Chinamastra is beta per se. I've just seen secret societies blending that, and I understand why. And Chinamastra is but the warning, if you want to listen to like Chinamastra mantras, is for celibate people, okay? So it's for people who want to celebrate sexuality in the usual form, or even astral form, okay? Important. So and Dhumavati is basically widow goddess. That made it very clear to me for what eclipses have to do, because these two are female goddesses, and female goddesses of the seclusion from sexuality. These are female goddesses that understand the margins of being sexual. For example, Beta per se understand the sexual boundary violation and how that changes somebody from the core, and this is unfortunately why it's practiced. And widow goddess understand grief, both talking about grief, okay, sexual boundary violation, and a widow, being widow, especially in culture, you couldn't marry again, you couldn't have love life, you couldn't have intimate life again with another person. So both are being at the margins of sexuality, and it's imbued with grief. And from this you might think that eclipses are terrible, and indeed they were considered malefic. However, eclipses with this teaching, okay, bring us understanding that we shift our perspective, and the events on the mundane level happen according to these goddesses, according to Beta per se, according to the feminine grief, or alternatively the feminine joy. So, and this is regardless of gender. So yes, of course, we are also approaching a Lilith eclipse, which is going to feel like, oh, Shirley was so correct. It's not necessarily because what I'm saying is so correct, it's because there's a Lilith eclipse, and Lilith brings all that into, okay, she's the female goddess of equity and sexuality, okay, equity for your man, woman, whatever your gender, equity and feeling free within relations, maybe a bit reminding of Sedna, but instead of betrayal, she had more sovereignty, okay, instead of betrayal and drowning, she had a more sovereignty. And so The eclipses bring us the wisdom of the female goddesses. Is good teaching coming now before the Lilith eclipse in October. And Lilith is already conjuncting Ketu, okay, on 7 degrees Libra, so ruled by Venus. And this is telling me that eclipses, according to this teaching, carry karma of female energy as actually energy of the land. And this is true. Yin is darkness, okay? Eclipse is from body of sky, eclipse in another, not just sun and moon, okay? But the per se eclipse every 3 days. I know Victor has been following eclipses in general, like when Mars eclipses, I don't know, sun or moon or something like that. And this is another. So eclipses are in general fascinating phenomena, but they are also, if you think about yin and yang, and yin and yang is not masculine, feminine per se, is two energies. Okay, you do little YouTube on yin and yang, and you understand what is yin, what is yang is something they cannot explain to you, but from analogy, and from these analogies you can see, okay, what's yin, what's yang. Okay, this darkness, yin, bright colors, yang, heat, yang, coolness, yin. Direction, yang, chaos, yin. So that is something where eclipses bring yin energy, and they considered malefic by the ancients. They considered malefic basically by people that, you know, worshipped the Moloch, or that worshipped the male gods. And I don't mean to take away from what eclipses can bring, but eclipses bring us the karma of the women we deem marginalized, of the women. And I saw in front of this eclipse actually 21 September, there are two astrologers, I think Chloe and Helva's Astro, that are launching something to do with the misfit women. Okay, she said the horse, the sluts, the this, the that. Okay, the misfit women archetype and goddesses, which is very appropriate for the Lilith eclipses that we are in. But the understanding that in general, the women that we have marginalized come through with karma in eclipses. They bring in the yin, under the yin energy, and it's not like they do rituals or they do this. No, it is a time where yin energy reigns, and so the karma of yin, which is more difficult to understand because it's not linear, okay, is the karma that we see. And karma just means action, okay, that the accumulation of action. There's karma, and there is friction, there is this, okay, this not pure, you do one thing, you get another. And therefore karma, you know, Saturn originally is yin, it's not yang, okay? So the karma is difficult, therefore, to understand. But this is time where yin energy, but this particular yin energy of the marginalized, okay? And those marginalized are women that people revere because they see the world from another point of view, and in their seclusion and in their torment, what they've been through, they are being exposed to something that people who just live their daily lives are not being exposed. So it's the blessing of seclusion, the blessing of the secluded, the mourning and the healing of these goddesses, okay? And the wisdom they bring is bringing connection essentially, and bridging worlds. So it will take from us some things no longer serving us, and we won't always see it at the time. Okay, it's not a karmic in the sense of direction, straight direct direction. But it is that something that will be taken away and makes place for something that serves us more, and the yin energy can see it. Well, we can't see it so much. The eclipse energy allow us to see it, because it's not just the full moon. In 2 days we have a full moon lunar eclipse, okay? It's not just the full moon, but it's a full moon. Usually we have full sight, okay? Complete whole moon. But here is a full moon culminating into yin. What we have a full sight of is that which we deem as darkness. And so it tells us that if we tend to those female goddesses, and tend to with reverence, not tend to by trying to control them, but trying to become like them, by trying to bring upon chaos, or control or subdue the feminine, okay? Because, and this is why the black rites are so not on point, because they are trying to control for what we're not meant to control, and it is trying to control something that, yes, people see as malefic, because they're doing things that are not good, okay? And chaotic energy, for people who are more stuck in the ways, are more difficult to process. And to sit with that, to honor that, this is indeed a challenge, regardless of your gender. Okay, there are men who can do this way better than some women, and women can do this way better than some other women or men. Okay, so to sit with the void, to be with the void, is something that's very benefic, and to tend to, okay, Lilith, Beta Persei, Medusa Gorgonal, Gaul, the widowers in society, women that carry the wisdom, that have had gone violation of violence or something like that, and they give reverence because they connect the things. When you go through such crisis, you begin to connect things that you didn't think are connected, okay? And especially around values, okay, Venus. So you can more clearly see how, let's say, values that seem good to us, okay, have respect, be loyal, okay, it's not a bad value, but if you're not authentic to yourself, it harms for your sexual energy, it harms for your authenticity and communication, it harms your relationship. And if nobody can say, okay, this is not working for me, and take a space, they go out. But to go out, okay, you need housing, you need food, you need to be safe alone, whether it's man or woman, you need to have your surroundings, okay, so you're not expected to bring an escort and say it's my girlfriend or my boyfriend whenever you go to social gathering. There are a lot of things that need to happen once you adopt this mindset, and eclipses are bringing up the events that are advancing of this yin wisdom, so we can bridge the gap between a society that lives its day-to-day life and the society of the yin, the hidden, or even the taboo. It's where values are, it's good to have values, let's say loyal, very good to have such value, self-respect, fantastic, it's good values. But we also need to understand of where something has context, something is chaotic, okay? The order and the chaos at once. I saw a video by Freya, who's Nordic, who's working with Freya, of course, and she was talking about using your feet and the element of earth and water, okay? Very fitting for the upcoming tropical eclipse. And she was talking about the runes, the one rune for order and one rune for the chaos, and to mix in the energies together and bring in the order and the chaos together, to be both. This is really, really important for this upcoming eclipse, but it's giving us eclipse teaching in general. She wasn't talking about the eclipse, but it's giving us eclipse grounding in general, where we can live. And I was talking earlier today, okay, about honoring yin energy or masculine energy or telos energy, and the chaos energy, a yin energy or feminine energy. This is the healing, okay? Because if the death cults that try to take the sun and the moon, okay, again yin and yang, and eclipses of course, and do a black sun rites for the sun, so your confidence, your shine, your father figure, blah blah blah, and moon, your mother, okay, your fertility, your creativity, your emotional, your psychological well-being, your memory, okay. There's two types of memory, the sun and moon, and to perpetuate trauma on all of those, okay. So you have bad upbringing that every time you try to break free from, it's not working. They invest a lot of energy in that because they try to harvest of your suffering, okay. Just to honor sun and moon, just to honor yin and yang, just to honor, okay. If you've been hurt by a man, not say Mars is not needed. Literally, I heard astrologers, okay, do not judge, but attend to the fact that it's not Mars, it's not man, it's death cults that are harvesting and creating division. If you've been hurt by women, at least attend to this, and that is already liberating. It's already on the path where you can be order and chaos and live with this dissonance and this merging at the same time. And that breaks free from the programming, breaks free from the MK Ultra, breaks free from even shamanic death cults, okay? White man did not invent anything, and you have Muslim Brotherhood of Satan as well, okay? That shit just happens, okay? But that really points out to how eclipses are bringing the notion of the powerful karma of that feminine which has been repressed, okay, even within oneself. That place where there's been a misfit, that place where wow, I see the light from the TV from the other room is blinking as I speak. It's giving Beta per se. Oh my god. Urano Beta per se. And clearing my throat. Oh my god. Sitting myself down, clearing my throat, and the blinking stopped. My god. This is powerful. And yes, Venus is just, on the 22, Venus is opposing Chiron, 22 Aries. So this is also that type of wisdom, okay? And it's bringing back the wisdom when children are murdered, when women are murdered, and it's not tended to. And everybody, what about ism around this? What's gonna happen next? Hundreds, men by the hundreds. And when men are killed, when they are building houses, either they go to war or when they are building houses. And you want to watch out for the real estate, because real estate, oh, now I get it. Now I get it. Why is real estate bubble gonna pop? Because who builds our houses? Okay? It goes like this. If the women killed, the children killed, or murdered or raped or whatnot, the men will die by the hundreds. I don't tell you this as I invented it. I live in the area where my neighbors live in tribes, Bedouin tribes, and this happens in the villages. I live by the area where my neighbors are having this reality, and they're begging for policing. Now we got policing in Beersheba city, like whatnot, and troops of women. Okay, women, police women, go around the city. Now they get permission to arrest everybody, to check everybody. You know, it's not good to have a police state, even if it's by women. It's not good. I live this reality. And when people like wilders travel to these countries and saw and live this reality, they know, okay? They know that when children are being killed, and this is happening in Europe because there was satanic ritual abuse, and now there is going to be mandatory army service again. And what did Ruta said? We saw something like this on a small scale in the World War II. And Africa is in NATO as well. Okay? That's teaching of eclipses, okay? If children are murdered, women are murdered, and it's becoming culture. And it's what is honor killings. Okay? Men die by the hundreds. And if men are killed to build a real estate, then it's problem. We have problem with the real estate. Either people don't have money or not safe in the real estate because the builders, what are Freemasons? In the beginning, they were architectures. They're building structures. And it's not for their fault because basically the Islam and the Christianity and the Judaism or the Khazarians or the whatnot, they took over and they couldn't build their houses. They had to be joined, okay, with them. And then you got Freemasons. In Hebrew, Habonim HaChofshim, the free builders. If the people that build our houses are not free, because a free man, a free woman does not even feel the need to oppress another. A free man, a free woman needs not oppress another. And this is exact inversion on this is Freemasons. Exact inversion. You say, you can get away with murder, you can get away with rape, you can get away with this, you can get away, and they don't. And then they give you the picture, oh, look at Dr. Mengele, he is alive, he was smuggled to so-and-so. Yeah, but they don't show you the psychic attacks, the torture that they go through in ways that you cannot control. They show you like a picture of Instagram and say, this is financial freedom, you are free. And they give torture for the people so that they become sadistic, okay? So that they want to revenge. And that's why in essence of desire, you have to you can at least ask yourself, of what would I desire had I not been with all this traumatized or in trauma? And then to that essence of desire. If I'm well nourished and confident in shining, what would be my sexual fantasy? Okay? That's the wisdom of the feminine. It's going to the underneath, and because you think that the underneath of desire is, A person has fantasy to do so and so, or person has fantasy on minor, or person has fantasy. All of this is not the underneath, because underneath that is trauma. What's underneath? That's, the essence of desire. And right now we have good eclipse teachings, because Lilith is with Ketu, Lilith is with the eclipse, and Uranus, sky god, Anu, is with Beta Persei. The sky god is with the head of the land, the triple face. What is the Orphic hymn for Venus? Okay, triple face is ruled by thy decree. So Venus, and now Venus on the 22nd, opposing Chiron in a Mars sign on the 22nd, and Mars in the moon sign of housing, is showing us of how we got to this point of the real estate collapse, the banking collapse, also Mars and Venus, okay? The banking collapse, the real estate collapse, the mandatory army service. Where have all the flowers gone? Saying Marlene Dietrich, okay? Where have all the they're too busy going on the website, says without her knowledge. And then going to hospital. The hospital makes her numb with drugs and they rape. So that's all the flowers, where they gone? We are shown this. And it's not easy to look. Well, we're not shown this so that we can perpetuate this. We're shown this because this is what we need to see now, so we don't go the way for what Ruta says. On a small scale, we saw this World War II. You understand, this person does not come from the mouth of the free man, but it does come from the mouth of a man who has seen a very unfree society and world and culture. And that's the best way he can see to bridge that. Neptune around his Saturn is giving him the Neptune-Saturn timestamps. The Neptune conjunct Saturn. He's having it by transit. He's bringing that. Okay, the dissolution of something. And he's indeed putting, okay, as opponent, which is the Neptune-Saturn. It's the timestamp of Russia. So it's very fated for him to do so. This could also help him perhaps escape a karma. Or dissolve karma, because he's under lawsuit for this taxation issue, but Neptune can make something invisible, okay, or dissolve something. So this is very interesting. It's a hidden structure. I'm not saying it's like, oh, this will help them get away with that or something like that, but Neptune is Neptune will Neptune. Okay, we really has to surrender this, and then we'll see what happens. But yes, right on Neptune, right on his Saturn. It's not yet Saturn return for him perfected, but this transit is given the Saturn-Neptune transit. You will be hearing a lot about Ruta, not just the movie, and not just the lawsuit. October 1st is when he's supposed to take in charge, if he's not sued, if he's not given immunity, if he's given immunity. And so that's interesting. So really important to pay attention to that feminine karma, okay? But also you must remember, if you did something good for the feminine, okay? If whether you're man, woman, this also is remembered in your favor, okay? It's in your favor. Because now you've seen and believed. Now the feminine sees you. Okay, you go a step towards, you've seen. Same with men. Okay, go a step towards, you've seen and believed. And so those are the ways in which we are, okay, slowly bridging the gaps to create something different. Okay, we are approaching golden ages. We are approaching age of Aquarius. And age of Aquarius is the Saturn. Yes, it's Saturn ruled, but it's the Saturn that's outside of the pyramid. And that can be both the Saturn of like this country is North Korea and this country is the world, but also the bifurcation where people go outside the matrix, okay? Where it has dogma, but it is more flexible. You think about the Capricorns I knew in my life, they can have only there's an entire chart to a person, but the Capricorn, the Aquarius person, they can disagree with you completely, but they're interested to hear your thoughts, because the world would be so boring if everybody agreed on everything, okay? And they can absolutely learn from you and teach you. It's that Saturn, okay? It's a lighter Saturn than the Capricornian Saturn. And it's the Saturn of Freemasons, it's the Saturn of architecture. And yet we must remember how this karma serves in our life for what is the process of building our homes. And you understand, if you build a city and many people die on the way, then you understand that you're creating a desert. And in humanism, you're creating a Shoah, which in the best of cases, you're creating an A-bomb. Naturally, for women it's good to have city lights, but it's not so easy. In the village, other difficulties, other challenges, okay? But if you respect, honor the feminine, not marginalize feminine, it's also for women, because women compete on what? On the attention. Not to go for this division, okay? The such woman, the such woman, the such man, the such man. And then, and for the non-binary, it's just that you get both of these to handle, okay? Everybody has both of these to handle, but the non-binary is like it's two, okay? You're two spirit. No, it's not cultural appropriation, because how you treat the two spirits in the cult, you idealized them, but they went through torture. You couldn't save them. One doctor for the whole village, the whole tribe. Who will help them? How they're trained? That's what we have with the elite, the inbred incestual cults. And then we say it's the Masons. Well, the Masons just gathered from tribe to tribe to tribe in China, in this and that and that and that, who talked to the spiritual people and learned for their practices, and that's what they practice till today. And so, my dear friends, this is how colonialism was born. But also the various structures, the combination of the medicines, that you can have American comfort made in China, giving you a full body massage that is with acupuncture. Okay, it's not just, and you can buy this with your corporate job. Okay, for a while that was the truth. And it's not just those things, it's also those things. And here, eclipses bring in this marginalized karma, okay? This is why, to understand eclipses, you need the blessings of Chinamastra and I don't remember, it's the widow goddess, and basically what the feminine goddesses that are not just Aphrodite, okay? They're not just Inanna, but at least a Reshkigal. And Venus not just as a morning star, but Venus is an evening star. And so because those are the feminine archetypes that govern the energy of yin, and eclipses are just one study case of the energy of yin. Very powerful, very fated. And then you say, well, Shirley, what happens when an eclipse falls with, let's say, Rahu on a Mars sign? Like right now, okay? That is the yin wisdom on the Mars sign. For example, if the free builders that are not free, like I said, that build our houses, that maneuver our money, real estate, oil, more Mars things, sovereign nations, okay, declarations of independence, if these energies, if they suffer, this is an energy timestamp that feeds our nations, United States. And just today I was thinking about United States says in God we trust, Sweden in tax we trust, and WEF in toxins we trust. Unfortunately, this is also something that could play out in this eclipse. But again, with these toxins, so the more difficult to diagnose diseases, okay, or the psychosis, it says it's going to be the eclipse of mass psychosis, all these things, if you succumb to the she's imagining, then you're going to get sick. And it's going to be difficult for even you to understand why you're sick. At the core, why you're sick? Because of victim blaming, that's why. But then, if you say, well, let's just ignore the pattern that first children were murdered, then women that didn't want to marry were murdered, then women were murdered because it's honor killing, and then men died by the hundreds, and say there's no pattern. We don't want to victim blame, okay? It's also not true, because there is a pattern. And this pattern is literally being harvested on to create lack of Mars things. Men, okay, just like lack of women. Erection. That's why soldiers being fed food that they don't have anything, and then they feel they want to gain their power back, so they're more susceptible to commit rape when they get the Viagra cocktails, which are more than Viagra. They pull them, okay, they pull them out of the sexual energy, so they try to master the person's sexual energy and give them back only when they perpetuate rape. And then for the nervous system, so that they could only orgasm on violence, and then they lose the erection again, of course, because there's no yin, there's nothing to hold it. Even the people that do BDSM, they practice Tantra. I'm talking about SSC BDSM, okay? They practice Tantra because you need to bring in the yin to hold it, you know? It's true. That's why it's not about control, it's about preservation of life within you. Even as you celebrate so and so fantasies and so on. Again, essence of desire. Underneath the traumas is actually very simple. And that's the beauty of it. And then, of course, we get real estate, the builders, to create lack of artificial lack, because there is more than enough land. There's more than enough housing, okay? Wealthy people, how they live, they summer somewhere. So you live in winter like birds, okay? It's good weather here, then winter comes, we summer somewhere. It means that half of the time they don't even live in the place that they own, and they own a couple of places. There's plenty of houses for many people. It's true. So many families argue on inheritance. The estate stays for 30, maybe 40 years. I tell you why this happens, because if there was ritual abuse in the state, it needs rest. When you are arguing, the house is resting. If you don't take yin into account, you don't understand the real estate. Okay? Then, of course, the banking, needless to say. Needless to say. That's even... so, yes, we get the yin wisdom on the yang. It's very important, eclipses. We get the yin wisdom on war. We see they don't practice art of war, they try to perpetuate war. If they practiced art of war, we would be in peace long time. We would be in world peace all the time, because war is very expensive. On all levels, not just the economy. It's those wisdoms. And this is why, as Carpel said, you need the blessing of Chinamastra and you need the blessing of the widow goddess to understand eclipses. And very true for this Lilith eclipse. So obviously, that's the connection I make, is very relevant for this Lilith eclipse. But this could serve as paradigm to understand eclipses in general, without succumbing to the belief that when you have harsh weather, it's the gods of the sky punishing the land. Okay, it's from our perspective as humans. Okay, it looks like this because you feel that you will die in the winter. It makes sense. In Israel, you may feel you will die in the summer, but be homeless one day and you can freeze also in Israel, which is a very warm country, even in central Israel. So so from this perspective, we came up with these preconceived ideas that are feeling very true to humanity, but it's not true in terms of nature, because the frost on the trees, to preserve the longevity, it's like a long Wim Hof bath for the trees. Okay, so it's not bad for nature necessarily. Us being a part of nature, we have to find our way through the winter or summer somewhere, so that we can give the trees the rest that they need to provide for us in the summer, in the spring. Or again, okay, travel, which gives which helps the entire ecosystem, even for the fact that we are, becoming more informed with other forms of life. There's more ways than our way in the world. This doesn't have to be either our way or their way. And there are ways that are more compatible, ways that's less compatible, and so on. So this is my eclipse eureka. Thank you to Carpiel, connecting it to Vedic astrology, and how for understanding of eclipses you must have the blessing of those very particular, female goddesses that stand at the marginalized parts of celebrating life energy, Kundalini energy, and so on. By the way, Chinamastra is associated with power of thunder, very compatible with Uranus Beta per se now. And widow goddess, I still need to learn deeper. But you see, both the issues of Beta per se and the issues of widow goddess tend to grief. And grief is... so processing grief, giving place to grief. So it's not just celebrating the essence of our desires, also giving place to grief and to process grief. And also for not to perpetuate grief. In the sense of, not to keep people in constant war and stuff like that. Which means people are leaders, and leaders are people. There's someone to keep leaders in this situation either. Yes, thank you for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.